Okay guys, so I'm doing something a little bit different here. Today I'm teaching you how to repair the pin and socket joints on figures that have busted. We're using as an example a Mcfarlane Toys Battle Alien because mine is buggered. I bought it like that. So as you can see, this joint is completely clear. See that? Like, it's clear plastic. See? It's clear. This part still moves obviously, so it can swivel on the peg, and it's a little tight, but it can swivel as well, or hinge, sorry. It's a bit stiff, I'm trying not to break it. The waist joint is intact, it's just the hips that have not. But as you can see, yeah, you get the idea, the head does that. Now, here's torso. This part is exceptionally soft. And of course one of my arm pegs broke when I turned it, so, and the other arm, as you can see, cut joint. The first thing to do is heat up the figure with preferably some really freaking hot water, or boiling even, and pull it all apart. As you can see, I've done that here. Here's the other joint. As you can see, clear again, but it's got paint on it, so that's a clear joint. That still works. And the next thing is the nasty part. This is the unpleasant part. You can probably see that gap in the hip section. I'm going to explain it through the tail first. So as you can see, this is a tail, and I had to cut down here like that in order to prise the pieces of the joint out, which are right there, and they need re-gluing. Oh, and this piece too. This is the actual part that goes into there, so you can probably see it a bit more evidently there where I've prized it apart and then, you know, popped it in there. I'm gonna have to heat that back into place. Just boiling water will do it. And this was the more difficult one. I actually had to cut this section out, which was this, to get apart the leg joints, because when I bought this guy he was broke, but I knew that getting into him. And these are the leg joints. Now to do this, to get these out, you actually need to take a section out. As you can see with this leg, it's more evident on this leg because this one's a lot deeper of a groove. May even move that bit there, but you know. So I'll fiddle with that later. You get it out like that, and then here's your piece. Now you can repair these however you want. You can pin them, or you can just full on glue them back into place. I'm going to do that because this piece actually came apart already. And okay, so as you can see, I've lined up that joint there, and well, there's gaps. So epoxy clay is the only real thing I can think of that'll fix this. Gorilla Glue is not going to do it. Well, it'll put those two together and those two together, but it ain't going to stop the cracks. So you're going to need to use some of this. Basically, just cut a thin sliver off, mix it together, or knead it together until it's a uniform colour, and apply in the areas. So okay, so I'm going to attempt to glue the leg joints back together. Starting with the first one, which is the one that just the peg has come off of, which is, oh Jesus, that really is in a state. Bloody hell. This one here, although it's missing a little bit there, this is not pretty indeed. I don't quite know how this fits on. I think the actual connection is completely shafted. How does this even fit in? I'm getting a rough idea. So the best thing to do is find out where it goes together. So we're going to leave that one for the minute because I'm just fumbling around with it. We're going to start with this one. So I used this. Really good stuff. It's nice, it's thick, and it gets the jobs done. I may put some best thing to do is make sure that this little inner hole piece is clear. No pun intended. Best thing to do is just blowing it a bit, give it some moisture. Now, it's best thing to do is make sure when the joint lines up properly like this. As you can see, that is full on clear. You can literally see the light shining through it. A major problem with Mcfarlane figures back in the day, and early NECA figures did this a lot, was using clear plastic for swivel hinges. This was a major problem, as clear plastic cannot stand the test of time. Now, I did purchase a Salient knowing that it was broken, and originally I just settled for gluing the legs in place and not bothering. But just today I thought, I actually want to repair it and try and get it back to its full original working order. The head here, as you can see, still has the joint, as I've shown. It's stiff going that way for some reason. Now, when it goes into the body, it actually has a bit of an angle in the joint. So the head kind of goes in like that, which is a bit on the weird side. Now, this body, for a piece of PVC, is really firm stuff. The tubes are quite soft. The tail, however, is really damn soft, as you can see. Obviously, it's a bit of a material science section. The thing is that when the piece of plastic breaks in here, because this tail's soft, it's pretty easy to get it out. When it comes to a piece like the pelvis, it was an absolute pain to get out. Oh, it's just reminded me. This part here also broke. I was trying to disassemble it to see how it all fit together, and I ended up tearing the joints off. So I am going to pop some glue on there. Gorilla Glue is much better than normal cyanoacrylate glue, because normal cyanoacrylate glues are ethyl 2, whereas this is ethyl cyanoacrylate. Normal super glues, like I said, are ethyl 2. I know I shouldn't repeat myself, but the reason for that is it makes them very, very thin, whereas Gorilla Glue is exceptionally thick. Gorilla Glue, you know, they say it's for tough stuff. It is literally. It even smells a little bit different than normal super glue. Shouldn't have done that. So that's that done. That's just the arm. We can pop that there in the repaired pile, or the non-damaged pile. Now, here's the thing that Mcfarlane also did with their joints, was they were clear, but they painted them black. Why not just use flipping coloured plastic joints? Now, for the next part is a bit tricky. As you know, epoxy putty is a bit of a git. Actually, no. Now, this one, however, is, because this is the metal stuff. Its advantage will be this, because you have 3 minutes of time to work with it. 1 minute is mixing, the rest it will just harden like a bajilla. Well, actually, that's not even a word. It will harden very quickly, unlike the marine stuff, which is white. I've used that. I've used that for my work in progress Master Chief, which I'm customising. Check out my Instagram if you want to see that. So I'm going to mix this, and I'm going to teach you how to apply. All mixed up. Now, take a small bit, and I mean a very small bit, like that. Now, my little strategy for this, because that is a hole, we don't want to plug it up, is as soon as you get resistance, stop. Now, because we have a lot of gaps in this, best thing to do, it does not help with the paintbrush in the way. Let me find something like a screwdriver. I've got a flat screwdriver in here. I used to sculpt in this. Remove some and kind of press it in. As you can see in there, it's in there now. You can sort of see the grey. I'll show you clear in a minute. But you do that until it is, you know, in tip-top working order. Well, not tip-top working order, until it is filling the gap. So I'm not making any sense. Kind of like this. Can't really see it. Can you see that grey in there? That's what you want. You want that And then just repeat the same with the other cracks and hinges and whatnot. And then you can use this part on a round part like this to kind of smoothen it in. And you want to remove excess, because this is a joint and it's going in there where there's quite a bit of friction. You're going to want to remove the excess. For reasons that, you know, you don't want this joint getting clogged. Well, it's too thick, it won't go in, and then we're back to square one because it breaks. So that is that one. And I'm going to show you how to reapply these in a minute. Pop that back over there because that still needs to be repaired. But that is the joint. Well, that's got to harden now. It will harden within a few minutes. Now for this is a bit of a tricky one. I'm not quite sure how this all goes together, but I have a rough idea. It's mainly that square part I had before. These two parts go together pretty easily. I wish I'd actually figured out how they go together before trying to glue them. I believe that is how they go. No, it is not. Actually, it might be. Might have got it right. Oh, I kind of made a cock up of it now. Brilliant. There we go. Kind of like that. Looks a bit weird, I know. Just kind of even it a bit. And then we're gonna put some glue. Always important to use plenty of super glue on this, especially, you know, if it's a breakage. That is at a bit of an angle, but meh. Now the part that I don't understand how it goes is this. Now this has had a hole drilled in it because the original, you know, the figure was originally, the original owner who sold this on eBay was trying to reassemble it and probably botched it. But, you know, I've taken upon the opportunity myself to do it. Now, I think this just goes like that. I'm not fully sure. It is not wanting to cooperate. It does go, actually. Yeah, I think it does. So that's the whole section there. There would be a wire going through the hole there that would kind of string along into the tail. Obviously, you know, that wire piece is broken. And the funny thing is, I have actually found it. Use plenty of glue. That's a big peg. Pretty big peg. So pop that there. And the wire that would thread through it is this. Yeah. It broke. Where did it break from, you might ask? Well, if I get my pliers, wherever they are, where did I put my pliers? Oh dear. Okay, now I can show you. In there, you can probably just about see it, is the wire. Now, if I stretch the tail, the wire will go back into its original hole as it is now. But that's where it came from, and that's a long tail. It's amazing how you can appreciate things when they're not actually part of the alien. Really need to twist that and make it straight. For some reason it's sculpted at this weird twist. And the bending wire don't continue through there. It's a bit retarded. Okay, now for the actual final, well actually no, not final, this piece. Now these slits we are going to glue up as well. It's very easy, just put a bit of glue down there and then close it shut. Where did I put my pliers? Because I need something to grab. There they are. Hold it like this. Well, I'll get back to you when this is done. Okay, so I got that done. Now, one of the things is, I did glue this back in, but there's gaps. Now, remember that big lump of epoxy that we used before? It's rock hard. It hardens very quickly. So with this, it's the same process. You just get a little bit, you shove it in there, and you kind of work it until it looks uniform with the sculpt. And I'm just going to stick out a lot because it's not the same colour, but you know, you can paint over this stuff. That's one of the beauties of epoxy clays. Like most clays, you can indeed paint over it. Just kind of, you know, filling out the gaps. And gonna clear out some of this garbage as well. There's a lot of crap all on these joints. Like hardened glue, you can just you know, scrape all that off with a knife when this is dry. So that's the pelvis now done. Looks pretty good so far. Now for this one, this is going to be a bit tricky. So what I'm actually going to do is find a point of breakage. There it is. Put some glue here. That's a rock hard lump. Where's my soft lump of clay? Here it is. We're going to put some clay on top. Right, a thin bit, and then tear, well, not a thin, that's quite big. Tear away the excess, right? Then put another bit of glue on top and get that little piece, and then try and uniform this together. Of course, wiping away the excess as we go to make this as coherent as possible. By the time this clay is dried, it just does go rock hard. And always compare with the other one. And that's looking pretty good. So we've got it at the right thing. Gonna kneel up a bit because you can't really see me. Screwdriver, just you know, get it and then remove the excess. If you want, you can wrap it around. I feel like I've done this before, even though I've not. I might have done Mr. Black. He didn't work very well. I tried a very crude repinning. That was a terrible attempt. I'm never doing that again. If I just remove the joint and then re-glue it the best that I can and use different materials to repair it. This clay, for some reason, is a bit soft, so I'm going to add some Gorilla Glue in there. And maybe just slice away a bit of the excess with a knife. A knife is always handy for removing excess material, especially with an X-Acto knife like this. It's very handy. And there's a bit more on that side yet. We don't want this hardening when this clay is still, you know, we don't want it hardening in a funny shape because you'll never get it back to form. You'll never get it to fit otherwise, and it's a royal pain. I'm sorry if you can't see me very well. It's incredibly difficult. I wish I had a proper camera and I could film from the angle that you could see. But there we go. As you can see, grey clay. Just add a bit more glue. Make sure you keep this over something where the glue can't get everywhere. Like, I have mine on pieces of cardboard. But we're going to wait for those to dry, and then we're going to go on to the final step, which is putting the joints all back together. Okay guys, so the next step, you won't be able to really see it, I don't think, is I've made a little hole there by taking that piece of bendy wire from the alien and poking it through like this. Now the reason for this is because I've just come up with a method to attach these on, still gluing them without risking clogging the joint. The reason we made that hole is because you need a piece of wire or paper clip. And this is going to go in there with a bit of glue, and then you just cut it off when you're run. So I'm going to teach you how to do that right now. This is a pretty easy method to do. It just requires this. It's a little sharp, and all you do is some hairs on my face, I do apologise, is you pop it in and keep rotating it whilst you're doing so, and keep an eye on it. If you see it start doing that, like going in, see it does it very slowly, you can eventually see it will happen. Now with these parts, which we're going to call the caps, you know, the sections we cut off, you want to do it all the way through. Now the reason for this is simple. I'm going to demonstrate now. It's because you can just cut it when it's on. If I just get the right one here, this might be the wrong one. Okay, so this is the wrong one, not that I'm going to put it on. So when it's like that, this is just a crude example, you can then take it and snip the excess wire. It will make it pretty easy then to do what you need to do with it. Now, we have, you know, in the previous clip, just repaired these, and they work really nicely. Now, one of the most important things to do when you're putting them on, be slow and take your time and slowly work the joint. And as you can see, that articulates very nicely now. Next step, our good old friend again. Now, I have plenty of wire. Literally, I have loads of it. Now, in an upcoming video, I'm going to be reviewing my Mutant 5 field with lots of flex tubing. Now, I actually stripped these of their flex tubing without damaging the tube. Literally cut a bit off there, pull it off, and then grab these with pliers and pull the flex tube off, leaving the wire. This makes it very, very easy to use both parts of the wire. So literally just coat the wire in glue. Now, it's always important to be careful. Get any excess drops, you don't want those. So pop that in and get your pliers and... Oh, shoot, it's not cooperating. It's this wire is exceptionally soft, so just take your time. And pop it in. Okay, so here we go. What I ended up doing was widening the hole a little bit, just popping the wire back in and then rotating it around. So the next thing to do is we've got a lot on there. We don't need that much. So we'll just, you know, you're not even going to need that much. Then take your joint. I'm going to have the clear end facing out, just because it, for me, it looks cool, I guess. And very gently just shove it on. And the reason you do put the wire in first, I figured out, is because it kind of compresses the plastic. When you put in the piece of metal into there, it kind of expands and mushrooms out the what is it, the you know, the peg that clips into, that part there. So doing that tightens it again. And then the next thing to do is get the correct one, which for this is this one, because this is the skinny one. Apply some glue. Can you see that? No, I don't know. Apply a bit of glue to the wire. Not loads, just the tiniest bit, so you can just about see that. The tiniest bit. And then see how that goes on pretty easy. And then pop that there. But before you do, put some glue on this part. And get your pliers. Try not to get the glue on your hands like I do all the time. Hold on. And then hold that, and that will go into position. And then when you do so, take the wire then and bend it up or down, whichever position you want. Doesn't really matter. Take this then. Hold on, there's a bit of excess plastic. Take this wire then and squeeze like that, just a little bit. Then take this, bend it out a little bit, snip, and then hold it like that. Oopsie. And as for that bit there, that little bit of wire, coat with glue. Or seal with glue, whatever. And that is one leg done. Okay, so we have both the legs done. Now, if they're a little tight, like this one is, hinge it slowly. Don't just rush into it. And this one is exceptionally tight. It's getting looser now. I'm doing it more, but as you can see, just take your time and be careful with it. Now, I didn't account for, you know, we do have a breakage. This piece here came off this. It's not important because that's where the bendy wire would have connected. But you want this square port here and this round port. Because the round port is what goes into the body and the square port is what goes into the tail. Basically. Now, I've not really figured out how to do this, so it should just be as simple as shoving it in, but it may be a bit tricky. Right, so basically just get some pliers, start shoving it in, but be gentle but firm with it. Oh, and rotate it as well, that will help to wiggle it in. Oh, wow. Hey! That went real nicely. The forearm. Now, these pieces like this, they're not going to go together really easily at all. The body. And this. And this piece, technically, because, you know, if you've got a broken peg, you've got to put those back together, will have to be heated up. So, I have a pretty hot boiler in my basement. So, you can probably hear it's on, which means the water will be incredibly hot in my hands. Time to get these and this heated up, and I'll show you how to pop on the head, and it will be as simple as that. Okay, guys, so I've got the torso, and as you can see, that's not bendy. Okay, so not bending ink machine. Okay, so get the head like that, and just twist and work. Now rotate it and put it in. And with that modded, by the way, the head can go all the way up. And it's going to be a stiff one. So this is now nice and soft. I believe this one is too. We'll ram the torso back together. This isn't one. Okay, bend the head out of the way. There we go. It's starting to ruddy cool. There we go. Obvious as it is the next day now. Okay, so the simple process is just reattach that. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing, and then I'll show you the finished figure. Okay, so just put a bit more glue on this because this peg's a little bit brittle, and the legs are all working good. As for the torso, I just reset this piece in and glued it because it actually popped out the first time I popped the legs on because the glue hadn't fully hardened, and neither did clay. So I'm gonna, as you can see, it's horribly gappy in there. I'm going to have to wait for that for a while, maybe a few hours or so to harden, and then pop the legs back in. It's all a matter of just twisting and pushing, really, and you'll get it all in. So let's get to the finished result. Okay, so the finished result. Let me just take my shirt off here. Well, no, jumper. We have an alien with legs that can not only swing out to the side, and by that I mean both of them, but, and I'm still doing it gently because it's brittle, but they can also, There we go. Ooh. Popped off again. A leg that can rotate forward. And backward. And heck, this leg even pops off without actually even being damaged, which I suppose you could use to your advantage if you maybe want to have your Predator or Marine blast his leg off with a grenade. It does take a minute. It does sit in there nicely. Like, if you pose it, it's only if you tilt it like that, but if you pose it, see, it's not going to fall out or anything. The other leg can also go like that. I'm not going to move it too far back because these joints are brittle. Oh, and the tail still bends, but it now rotates. And of course, the bust forearm has a bit of a gap in it, but that rotates. A lot looser now. And with the mod that I did, I cut a little section in the back of the head. You can probably see that enables his head to go all the way up. So you could get him into maybe some swimming poses or something like he was in Alien Resurrection, if you fancied doing that. And then, you know, they can just angle the feet. And then bend the tail down. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Or if you want him crawling on a ceiling, you can achieve that. Get the legs up, get the feet, because now they can angle a bit more. And then, you know, next thing you know, he's crawling along the ceiling like that. Or hell, if you even wanted to, you just arch the torso forward. And oh, I've got to be careful because remember, it's still clear plastic. It's not fixed. It is fixed. It's just it's not. The clear plastic syndrome's not going to go away. So still take your time with it. And you can have him looking like he's ready to attack. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I hope this tutorial helped you. I don't know what I'm going to cover next when it comes to fixing things. This was a figure I bought broke already, and I knew exactly what I was doing getting into this. It just took some time to come up with a method. I don't know. I'm slightly tempted to cover ball pegs because they are a tricky one. Again, this was the only raw one I could actually do without needing a knife or, well, actually no, sorry, correct myself, without needing a drill, sorry. I couldn't think of the words. Without you needing a nail and a drill. I mean, with this, luckily, you know, I was able to pin it just as is, just with that little piece of wire, but, by the way, he will stand, and, surprisingly, I know it's a bit close, but you got to angle him because you see, he's actually, wait, let me just stretch his tail back a bit, to kind of counterbalance. But yeah, he does stand. Definitely makes me a lot happy with this figure now. I mean, I was happy with it anyway, but the fact that he has his working leg articulation really makes me happy to have him somewhat. I mean, it's not pristine, no, he's modified and he's heavily damaged, but he's back in his original working order, which is great. Obviously, some other figures will be very difficult to cover. I may try to cover other ones. Obviously, the tutorial was not just to fix him. It was mainly to fix, sorry, his style of joint, his hip joint. You can use it for NECA figures as well, as they have the same system in the shoulder, but the peg is not as big and beefy. If I show you an example on my shelf, if I just pop this off, this is the T-800 arm from the Terminator, Technoir version, as you can see. So that will be a little bit difficult because you've got all this to work around. But you should theoretically be able to apply the same method and do it. So, with that, I would like to hear in the comments, or if you want to contact me on my Instagram, if you have managed to fix your figure the same way I have. And I'll see you guys in the next video where we will be reviewing this guy. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.